Thanks for joining me this morning. Today we're at one of my favorite locations in north central Nevada, up at Lake Lahontan. I love coming up here to photograph these beautiful structures, the dam and the interesting architectural formations, but there's a lot of other great subjects here. Previously I did a video about the Yashikamat 124G, and I photographed it here, and I'm going to redo some of those pictures to show you comparison, because when I did that, the water level was just down very, very far, and now it's almost up to the top of the dam. So it'd be nice to get some comparison shots. But I'm here today with my good friend Jonathan Triplett. He's a great artist, and he's working on a project that he's going to be donating one of his big paintings for one of the charitable groups out here. And so he's going to be sketching today, and I might use the telephoto lens, the portrait lens, to get a picture of him. So today we're looking at the Mamiya C330. This is a medium format, takes 120 film, 6 by 6 centimeters, that's 2 1/4 square, just like the Hasselblad or the Rolleiflex, but this has some great advantages. It's bigger and it's heavier, but boy, it really works great. It's got a built-in bellows. It has interchangeable lenses. That's one of the things that makes it so cool. Today I have the 50 on here. I've got a 180 and then the normal 80. And so I'm going to show you how to work all these features here and change the lenses. But the bellows extension allows you to get really close to subjects. And one of the nice things about that, being that there's a 2-inch displacement here, this is 2 inches higher than this one. So normally when you're taking a picture, if it's kind of close up, I got in the habit of just moving my camera up 2 inches, and that corrects everything. So then this one is perfect alignment with that one. So, but one of the features that this camera has is this little dial on the side, and we'll take a closer look at that later, but you can just rotate that based upon the lens that you're using, the focal length, in this case 50 millimeter. So I would turn this rod until in this window it shows 50 millimeter. And then there's a little rod inside the viewfinder, a little bar that'll go up or down, and that will tell you where the top of your frame is actually going to be. So what that is a parallax correction. So if you're focusing and you see you're kind of close and that bar is down 25% into your screen, well, that's going to be the top of your image. So you have to imagine going down to compensate for that. So that's a really great feature. But let's take a walk around this just a little bit. But this viewfinder is really kind of awkward. It's big, it's a big beast. By the way, this is part of the collection of my good friend Stuart Skalka. He lets me use these wonderful classic cameras. And today I've got the C330. And it came with the 3 lenses and this particular viewfinder. Now, this also has multiple types of viewfinders. And I don't care for this one so much because, as you can see, it sticks out on the side quite a bit. And that means you can't use the straps for your neck strap. Over here, it'll be in the way. So they make a different finder that's just like a Rolleiflex or a Hasselblad, where it doesn't stick out the side. It just looks down 45-degree angle, or you can get a 90-degree one, or you can get a waist level finder just like the Rolleiflex or the Yashica. So very important to know what you're going to be shooting. Today, since I'm limited with this viewfinder, but I've got my friend Jonathan here, we'll take a picture film later, but primarily we're going to photograph some of the beautiful scenery and some of the interesting things around here. But in the front, the lens, of course, and to change the lenses, there's a baffle here, and you have to turn this dial, you turn it to a lock position. And what that does, it swings a little curtain in the way, so it protects the film from getting fogged. And that closes it off. So, and then you can take the lens off. And to do that, this level here, you just push that down and forward. Hard to do backwards. And you just lift that little rod up and put that out of the way. Then you can lift this up, put a different lens on there. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, all mechanical. And when you put that back in place, you have to remember to put this in the other position to open that baffle, move it out of the way, so then when you take a picture, you are exposing the film. And of course this is a twin lens reflex, so you don't see exactly what the camera lens is, the taking lens down here, you don't see what that's going to be photographing. You're looking through this, and that's what you see through your viewfinder. And one of the advantages these type of finders have over a waist level finder, the waist level finder, if you're looking down in it and you want to photograph somebody that's moving from right to left, you think you're looking at them, but when they go to the left, you go to the right. Everything is backwards and upside down. So with these, it corrects that. So now if somebody's moving, I can just photograph them, boom, follow them with no problem. Everything is the right orientation. So that's one of the things, the advantage of having the reflex finder. Now, the focusing mechanism you see on the sides, we have both these wheels here. There's one on each side, and that cranks out quite a ways. So that allows you to get really close. But again, you have to watch for that parallax correction, the parallax error. So that's how that works. Okay, and there are a couple ways to activate the shutter on this. Basically, these lenses are kind of like a view camera lens. You have to cock it and then fire it. But this gets cocked automatically. Every time you advance it, pulls down the lever and cocks it. And then when it's ready to fire, you have a couple options. This bottom one here, you can put a cable release in it, or you can just push that in and it'll fire it. Also, if it's easier for you, you can just use this little lever here, pull that down, and it'll fire it off. So several different ways to do it, whatever fits your fancy. And looking at the front, basically, have the lenses, and each lens has a little PC connector right here on the top left. I know it's hard to see that far away, but it's there. And of course, we got the firing mechanism, and this automatically gets cocked, as I told you, when you advance the film. So basically, that's the front side. And we have the frame here where the slider is. We'll put that down, and we'll fire that off. So on the left side is that mechanism where you can open the baffle to let the light come through the lens and expose the film, or you lock it, it closes the baffle, so you take the lens off and you won't fog your film. And this is just, these are two little knobs here. You just pull those out when you're changing film, make it a little easier to load your film, and we'll do that in just a second here. And then just the focusing knob, and that's that. A cold shoe, it's not a hot shoe. You mount your flash in there, but then you have to have a PC cord to put in here. But one thing I've been doing a lot with this, I have a remote trigger, so I use my flash remotely. I'll put it off to the side somewhere, my main flash, and then I'll put the transmitter here, and that plugs into the PC cord. So when I fire a picture here, that flash fires off camera. So it gives a nice light, soft light. Use a softbox frequently. Okay, and on this side, we have the advance lever. Just cock that, and then put it down in the seats down there. And this is the multi and single shot. You put that to single after you have your film loaded. Put that in the single mode, advance it to number 1. And then if you want to do multiple exposures, you just move this dial where it says multiple, and then it will cock the shutter, but it won't advance the film. So you can get really creative with it, and I've done a lot of fun projects with that. And then the counter up here, this is advance the film and stop at number 1, and you're ready to get going. Each side you have a bracket for attaching a neck strap. On this side, you can't do it with this particular finder, but with a waist level or a different reflex finder, you'll be able to hang it around your neck and do that. Now this is like a Rolleiflex or a Yashica 124G on steroids. It's considerably larger, and it's a little more bulky, but it's really sturdy, and it actually, in your hand, it's very comfortable to use. Really well engineered, built like a tank. I love this, and these lenses are legendary. These Mamiya lenses are just as good as the Rollei or the Hasselblad. They're just all spectacular. And on the back side, there's a little lever here. That's a locking device for the back. You would just turn this, rotate it clockwise, and then slide it over, and then the back just pops right open. And that's where we're going to be loading our film in a moment. We'll show you how that works. And then on the top, we got a release for the viewfinder. So we'll just get this closed up here. And at the bottom here, there's a little window shows you 120 or 220. So there's a pressure plate you can set. I've got set for 120. So that window tells us that we have 120. And that's about that part. The bottom part Just basically, it's got an attachment. Put your tripod mount in there. Mount that to your tripod. So let's get this loaded. We'll go out and take some pictures here, and maybe we can get Jonathan to pose for us and tell us a little bit about his project. Okay, now we're going to get this loaded. And to do that, of course, this is the back. We're going to have to release this little knob here. You just rotate that a little bit to the right, and that will then let you slide it that way. There's a little arrow here. So you just slide that over, and this whole thing just pops right up. And you lift that, and there's a take-up reel already in place. Of course, that can be moved just by advancing this. And this is where the fresh roll is going to go. And like most cameras, it's got these little locking knobs here. Just pull this out and rotate it, and it'll stay out of place. And then when you want to put the film in, just rotate that, it'll lock back in there. And you'll notice that we have settings here for 220 or 120. The red dot is over at the 120, and that's what we're going to be shooting today. And to take this, we could just turn it around, set it for 220. So let's get this loaded. Put the fresh roll down here. Get that. Hard to do. I got this little camera in front of me here, videotaping this, and rotate this, and then it just will pop right back in. Check it, make sure it's set. And again, you just go right over this rod, and then into the spool there. And just like a Yashica, really it'd be going under this bar and then over. So, and then you'll notice there's two little red dots here and here. And then once we get the roll going through, we're just going to advance it until the cross arm or the big arrow on the paper lines up with that, and that's where we're going to stop. Again, we're just going to keep advancing until we see that big arrow right here. And it's going to go up to the red dots up here. There we go. Leave that there. Close the back. And what we want to do is make sure that we turn this over again. Lock there's a little red dot here. Just rotate it. That makes sure that it's locked nice and snug. Okay. Then we just turn over this side. This is our counter. So we just have to advance it until we get to number 1, and it'll automatically stop. There we go. Right there. And then put this arm back down. Make sure it's in that position. And we're all set. That's all there is to it. Oh, by the way, there is a lock. All you have to do is keep this locked so you can't fire it at all accidentally, so you can't push the plunger down. When you put it over to the forward position, unlock it, then you can use this one or this one. You can activate it that way. There you go. So, and let's go to number 2. And it's just like a half turn. It's really geared pretty well. So we're ready for number 2, but again, I'm going to lock it, slide this over, and we're good to go. Okay, now we're going to remove the reflex finder, and that'll expose the ground glass so we can watch that parallax arm move up and down. Of course, that's set by the side knob that I just showed you. We set that for each lens that we're going to use, and so when we extend the bellows out, and that's a great feature about this camera, this lens has a wonderful bellows, but if you're not careful, particularly if you're doing like portraits or anything really fairly close up, you could crop off the top of someone's head or just lose part of your image. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that arm in the finder. So now to get that off, real simple process. Just have to loosen this knob, and it lifts up and then just slides back. Lift it up, slides right back. Comes off, there we go. Now we can see the top of this beauty. That's our ground glass. And what we're going to do is focus, move the bellows out, and then you're going to see up here there's going to be an arm that comes down. See there? Right there. See it's moving down. Right here. Now if we were doing a portrait and we think we've got everything focused, nicely framed here, if we're not watching this, we could crop off the top of someone's head. So we'd have to remember this is the top that represents the top of the frame. So you're going to be going down here, and that's how much the film is going to see. So you want to be aware of that. Remember there's like a 2-inch difference between the top lens and the bottom lens. So just be aware of that, and you can focus on either side, and you can see how it comes back up. And extend it out. and becomes more extreme on that arm, going way down there now. So just be aware of that. Okay, now I'm going to put the finder back on. By the way, this is very, very light. It looks like it's real bulky. It's kind of big and bulky, but it's not heavy at all. So to get this back in, we just slide it in and then snap that right back down in here. There you go. Just tighten it down, and we're good to go. Okay, one of the pictures I've been wanting to get for a while, you'll see behind me this beautiful row of lights. But I don't want to shoot it through the fence. I want to get up over the fence and take the shot that way. So fortunately, I just happen to have my ladder with me today. So I'm going to go unload that, set it up, climb up there and take that picture. Just a little higher. Oh, this is much better. Jonathan's been doing a little scouting for me, so we'll head on down to the beach and see what we can find down there. Boy, this area has a lot of great potential. I'm using a wide angle lens right now, and I'm going to reshoot some of the pictures that I did with the Yashica on a previous video. But I can't do all of those pictures because I'd be 10 feet underwater if I did. Boy, these nice compositions here. Okay, now I put on the 180 millimeter lens. This is a great portrait lens. It's a telephoto, of course, and it's really excellent for eliminating distortion with doing portraits. So, but here it's really great because I can reach out and photograph that old structure out in the middle of the lake there, and compare the telephoto shots with some of the wide angles that I've done.